I'm Xanderwood. I make indie games and tutorials on game development. I also play your indie games every week on my channel. Make sure you subscribe and click that bell icon so you never miss a video. Okay, welcome back to episode 2. In the last episode, we made some controls for this little guy to run around or drive around the screen. Today, we're going to build a bit of a course to keep the car inside of. We may actually make the layout a little bit bigger. I'm not sure. We'll see how we go and see what that feels like in terms of the space that we have. So, first thing we're going to need to do is go into the events and tidy this up a little bit. So right click, and we're going to add a group, and we're going to call this controls. And then I want to select all of these lines here and drag them in and tidy that up so it's all in one nice neat and tidy place. Now let's go back to the game and we're going to add another layer and we're going to call this collisions. Double click and let's create a tile background. Change the size to 16 by 16 and I'm going to color this red. It can be any color you want. It's not going to be seen in the game. And now I'm going to turn on snapping over here in the properties. Click anywhere on the layout. Snapping, show the grid, and I'm going to make it 16 by 16. And now I'm going to drag this down into one 16 by 16 cube. And then this is going to be the boundaries of my layer. You can just drag this out because it's tiled. Copy that up there. I'm going to copy that over there. And now if you go find it in the properties panel over here, you'll find it in object type, and then it'll be down in this list. Ignore all of my files because again this is part of a larger game I'm making a mini game for, so you can ignore all of this. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that guard, stick him up in there. All you'll have right now is the car and the tile background, which we'll rename this TB_wall. So you'll just have those two there, and then click on it, and we're going to go over here and we're going to select behaviors, and we're going to give it a solid behavior. So now when we play, we won't be able to drive through it. It's going to keep us inside the level. And I think I need to make the sprite a little bit smaller. I don't like the idea of having a camera that follows the player around because that's not what the original off-road game was about. It was all on one screen and you would just drive around that one course. So we don't need to redesign it. We can just go over here and change the size to 8 by 8. And then that should just solve all of our problems. There we go. Yeah, that's much better. Much more like the original game. Okay, fine. Now we need to put in some boundaries for the course. So I'm going to take some of these walls and I'm going to shrink them down. I'm going to make it two 16 by 16 squares wide. There'll be a way to get around the top. And then how does the original game look? Let me just quickly Google it. So it's kind of like a figure of 8 shape. Okay, I'm going to make these walls a little bit thinner because I'm going to run out of space otherwise. So let's double click into one. Let's just resize it and make it 8 by 8. Not 168, 8 by 8. And then let's go over and change the grid size to 8 by 8. And now we can make these thinner. And this is going to serve a little bit better. And now there is a course. So let's try it out. Yeah, so now we have to follow around here. Yeah, I quite like that. What I will do, because I want to have some information and some titles at the top, I'm going to bring this top section down by a few, and then I'm going to drag this down by 1, drag that down by 1, and that down by 1. Then bring the car down to there. Just so I've got a bit of room at the top for a kind of heads-up display and some information about time and what have you. What I'm going to change next is the acceleration and deceleration of the car, because at the moment when we take our finger off the accelerator, the car stops pretty quickly, and that's the deceleration over here in the behaviors. I'm going to drop that down to 100 and see if that makes a difference. Yeah, so now when I take my finger off, it slides to a stop. It's also a bit too fast. Let's slow it down to 50. And I also don't like how he flips around, because you wouldn't be able to do that in a car. So I think if we're moving left and we hit D, instead of flipping around, I don't think that D button should work unless we're moving to the right. So let's see if we can fix that. So we've already got this direction variable set up on the car, which is defaulted to right. I think the way we're going to get around this is to use that directional variable. So if we're pressing D, we're not only setting the frame and the simulate direction, I think we should also set the variable direction. So we'll set it right. If we're pushing A, obviously we're going to set it left. If we're pushing W, then we're going to set it up. And if we push S, we're going to set it down. Now, we're also going to want to set it when we go diagonal. So A and S is down left. A and W is up left. D and W is up right. And D and S is down right. So now every time we push a button, it's going to set that car's directional instance variable to one of these eight states, effectively. So what we need to do is add a condition to these directions. So we need to compare the instance variable of direction. So if D is down, and type in direction is equal to left, and then hit I to invert it. So if we're pushing D, which basically means go right, as long as we're not already going left, we'll go right. We can simply just reverse that for A and say right, and then we do the same thing for up and down. So for S, as long as we're not moving up, and then when we go up, as long as we're not moving down, and that's going to prevent us from flipping the car around. Let's just see how that works with the diagonals. Yeah, so we can't flip around now. But if we're moving diagonally down, yes, not so smooth. We're holding 3 buttons down. Yeah, if we hold 3 buttons down, we move in all kinds of weird directions, like we're on an ice skating rink, which we don't want. But it does fix our issue that we can't flip the car around. Like we were before, which is good. I mean, I'm happy with that. We just need to fix the situation where we're holding 3 buttons down. So the issue only appears to be when the W key is down and A and D is down. I've tried it a few different ways, so it's only really an issue if we're holding W plus 2 other keys. So if we look here where we go if W is down on these two diagonals. The issue is if we're pushing A and W and D, then we go off in a weird kind of skewy diagonal movement. So what we need to do here is add a sub event and then check to see if the D key is down in the AW sequence. And then I can copy that down here and change that to the A key. So if we're pushing A and W and D is not down, then we're going to do those things. And then the same thing if A is not down, we're going to do those things. Yeah. And now that seems to be working great. Great. Now what I want to do is I want to make it so that if we hit the wall, then we slow down. So if we're touching the wall like that, we're slowing down. And that's going to deter people from kind of riding the edges. So we need some variables that control the maximum speed. So we're going to say normal max speed, and that is going to be 50. And we're going to add another one, and we're going to say slower speed, and this is going to be 30. Now we need to add a condition to our driving controls that basically check whether we are in collision with a wall or not. So we're going to add an event, and we're going to say sprite car, and we're going to say is overlapping another object, and this is going to be, and again ignore all of my other sprites, you're just going to have a couple, TB wall. If we're overlapping the wall, then I want to set the speed, I want to go car, set maximum speed, and I want to set it to slower speed. And then because this is only going to be one or the other, I can push X to make an else statement, and then otherwise I want to set it to normal max speed. So it's only going to be either or, so that way when we're driving, if we're colliding with a wall, we should be going slower. So we can go, okay, we're not overlapping them because of the bounding box. So let's make another tile background. I'm going to make this one blue, just so it's easy to distinguish between the two. We're going to make this one, let's say 4x4. And now we can shrink it down. Change the grid size to 4x4 so it fits. And let's now go in and put this around the edges here. And we're going to call this TB wall collision. Oh, and there's another one that needs to go here. Okay, now we can say that if we're overlapping any of this, then we slow down. So just change that one around, and then that should now alter our speed. Yeah. So it's a little bit, I think it needs to be thinner, but it's working great. It means if we go to the wall, we slow right down. Let's just make it thinner. So if I change the grid to 2x2, there, I think that looks great. What we need to fix now is the bounding box on this car. Because it's a 16x16 sprite, there's a lot of extra space up here, so we can click on the bounding box And we can just drop this down to the top of the player there. Same on this one. Just so it's the same. Same on this one. But on this one we need the width to be by the wheels. There. Same on here. And on these ones we can just drag them so that they are roughly around the outside of the car here. And this is what's going to be overlapping. It doesn't have to be exact. This is what's going to be overlapping those blue areas where we slow down if we drive over them. There. Now let's try it out. Yeah, that's great. Now we can go and set these to invisible so you won't see them. Now let's create a starting line. Double click. I'm going to make this a tile background again. 2. Oh. By 2. And a white line around the outside. That just looks ugly. Although yeah, that looks good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make these walls white so it fits with the theme of the game. And we need some way of telling the player that they're stuck on a wall, so I'm going to add in a particle effect. So if they're scuffing up against the wall here, we're going to spawn in a few particles to let them know that that is the case. So double click and we're going to add a particle effect. I'm just going to make the size of this 2 by 2, really tiny. And I'm just going to add in 1 dot. I'll put that there so I can see it. So if we play it, that's what it looks like. That's because the size is 32. I want the size to be 2 because that's what I originally intended it to be. That's still too much. I think I want the spray cone to be 360. I want the speed to be 20. I want the rate to be 100. It's looking a little better, but it's still shooting out too far. I want the timeout to be 0.2 seconds. I want the timeout expire. There. That's good. I like that. So it's like we're grinding against a wall. So let's move that out of the way. I'm going to rename it PRT_grind, for lack of a better name. Let's open up the car. Let's go to the origin point. I want to create 4 more. Origin image point 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are going to be named 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I want these to be applied to the whole animation. So now if we click on frame 7, we've got them there as well. So on frame 1, I want image point 1 to be at the front of the car, and I want to apply that to the whole animation. So, oh no, I'm going to have to do this manually. Wherever the front of the car is where image point 1 is going to go. There. Image point 2 is going to be the back of the car. Although we probably won't be grinding on a wall at the back of the car, but I'll put it in anyway. Doesn't have to be exact. Image point 3 is going to be only applicable on 4. So I'm going to have it on this corner, top right hand corner. And then image point 4, we're going to go left, top left corner. There. So depending on what part of the car is touching the wall, I'm going to spawn those particles in different places. And the way I'm going to check that is with a new event. I'm going to say, in fact, we can add it into this one here as a sub-event. So if we're overlapping the collision wall, don't do that. Hit B, get a blank sub-event. And now we need to check what direction we're in, because we've got these directions here. So we can say sprite car, compare instance variable. So if it's equal to up, that means we're colliding with it head on. We can do another one for down, not down backslash, down. We can do another one for left. We can do another one for right. We can do another one for up left. We can do another one for up right. It's with a capital, I realize that. Up left, got to spell it exactly right. And then we can do another one for down right. And one more for down left. Now, if we're hitting it head on upwards, then we want the car to spawn another object. We want it to spawn these particles, which are, if I search for them, you should just have them right there. PRT underscore grind. Layer 0, well, we'll put that on the same layer as the car, so we'll put it on objects. And then image point, we want that to be image point 1, I believe. Now I need to double check myself. So image point, if we're facing up, image point 1 is right there. Yep, and that's what we want. Now if we're facing down, we can just copy that out. If we're facing down, where are we? There. Again, image point 1 is right at the front of the car, so that's fine. If we're facing left, I think we're going to be fine with these image points. I think we've added too many. Yeah, image point 1 and right is image point. We only needed 3 image points really, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. So all of those can be image point 1. If we're facing up left, we want the top left hand corner of the car. So up left, we want image point 4. Up left is image point 4. Up right will be image point 3. Down right will be 3. And down left will be 4, if my calculations serve me correctly. Anyway, let's see if that works. Yeah. But it's like we're lighting up we're lighting up the level on fire. we only want to trigger that once. It's kind of nice though. We're just kind of lighting everything up. But it's not what we're after. So we want to trigger once. So add another sub event underneath each direction here. System, trigger once, and do that. Copy that down. Copy that down. Copy that down. The reason it was doing that before is because the direction, as long as that direction's equaling right, it's going to continually spawn these. So it spawned a lot because we weren't turning the car straight away. If we just trigger it once, it should be fine. But it may well throw some more surprises our way. So we'll see. We'll cross those bridges when we come to them. But for now, let's see if that works with the trigger once. It does it once, but they're not disappearing. And that's annoying. That's because they're on continuous spray, on a one shot. There we go. Although I think I need them to be continually spawning. I don't think that was the correct call. I think we can go back in the events here and we can just put them back up originally, because I think the reason they were staying there is because of the continuous spray and not the trigger once. So apologies for that. Again, we're learning together. Okay, so that's now they should just continually spawn and then burn themselves out after 0.2 seconds. There we go. Well, that's great. Although they're a little bit big, and I think that's because I've got on the particle effect a size randomizer. Size is 2, but the we've got grow rate. No. Let's take the opacity down to 80. Let's have a look. Let's go back on here a second. Yeah, that's not what I'm after. Speed 20, size 2, speed randomizer 0. That's a bit better. Rate, let's take that down to 75. Yeah, I think that's better. Sometimes you just got to play around. It's better. Yeah. So you can see it's not quite lining up on those on the diagonals. When we hit it head down, that's fine, and on the bottom it's fine on the diagonals there, but on the top it's spawning over the car. I think we're selecting the wrong image point. So the top left, image point 1, image point 2, image point 3 is right up there, image point 4, yeah, it's there. Let's pop it there. But what, image point 3 should be top left and bottom left. Sorry, is that top left will be image point 3. That's top right will be image point 4. bottom right will be image point 3, bottom left will be image point 4, which will be there. Image point 4, image point 3. I think that will work. No, it's the other way around. It's the top, not the bottom. So up right, 4, up left, 3. Yeah, on the way down is good. Yeah, that's better. I'm going to leave it there. We're going to continue in the next episode. We're going to add in some nitro boosts that's going to speed us up if we pick them up and use them. We're going to have a little HUD element that displays how many nitro boosts we have, and we're going to be able to collect them, use them to give us a speed boost. I'll see you in the next one.